In early spring, these mountains begin to open again beneath the returning light. A familiar ridge offers a place to watch, wait, and measure the valley below. From here, movement on the open ground can be noticed long before it comes close. Dark plumage conceals a powerful frame, marked by the golden feathers of the nape. When the air is right, only a few wing beats are needed to leave the stone behind. Rising air along the slope carries her upward with little effort and almost no sound. The territory is large, defined less by boundaries on the ground than by repeated flight. Another eagle returns to the ridge, smaller in build, but carrying the same adult colors. There is little ceremony on the rock. Much of the bond is maintained through shared territory. Together, they move through the valley, renewing a partnership shaped by distance, wind, and time. Above the valley, courtship is written in a series of rises and shallow falls. Their paths cross and separate again, each bird moving freely through the shared territory. The female returns first, settling on a ridge that overlooks the nesting cliff. After the display, the mountain becomes quiet again, and the pair simply waits. On the cliff, an old eyrie waits, where many seasons of sticks have gathered. New material arrives one branch at a time, carried from the slopes below.
Each branch is tested and shifted until it becomes part of the widening platform.
Softer grasses and fresh vegetation begin to shape the shallow center of the nest. At the center, repeated adjustments create a shallow place where the eggs will rest. What looks untidy from a distance is a structure built to endure wind, weight, and time. The platform is nearly ready. High above a valley the pair has watched for weeks. Soon, the center of the nest becomes more than a resting place. The first egg appears quietly, almost lost among the pale grasses and weathered sticks. A little later, a second egg completes the clutch the pair will now guard through the cold. For weeks, most of the work is stillness, keeping two fragile eggs warm through changing weather. Even the smallest adjustment matters, turning the eggs while keeping their warmth nearly constant. The male returns often, bringing relief to a vigil that can last most of the day.
For a short interval, the roles change, and the male takes his place over the clutch.
Away from the cliff, food must still be found while the other bird remains with the eggs. The hunt ends back at the cliff, where the long rhythm of incubation continues.
After weeks of stillness, a movement almost too small to see begins beneath her.
A first break appears in the shell, opened from within by a chick that is not yet free. The first chick emerges slowly, wet, exhausted, and entirely dependent on the shelter around it. For now, warmth matters more than movement, and the first chick spends most of its time beneath her. Later, the second egg begins to move, repeating the same slow work from inside the shell. Now there are two, unequal in age by a little, but equally dependent on the adults. The first meals arrive in fragments, small enough for bodies that have only just begun to grow.
Even in early summer, cold wind can reach the ledge, and the chicks still cannot protect themselves.
The male's return brings food to the ledge, where two growing chicks now depend on every successful hunt. At the nest, food changes hands before it reaches mouths still too small to feed alone. Each tiny mouth receives only a little at a time, while the adults provide everything these young bodies need. The cliff offers height, but little shelter when mountain weather changes without warning. Within days, the chicks sit taller, stronger enough to spend more time outside the shelter of her body. New feathers begin to appear through the down, and the older chick starts learning how to care for them. As summer spreads across the valley, the nest is no longer occupied by helpless hatchlings. Growth accelerates now, dark juvenile feathers pushing through the pale down almost everywhere. With two growing young above, each successful hunt has become more valuable than before. The approach is brief, and one precise contact brings the hunt to an end.
Back at the eyrie, the meal arrives for two young eagles that are growing larger every day.
They can now take larger pieces for themselves, though the adults still provide every meal.
The wings lengthen quickly, and simple stretches begin to reveal the shape needed for flight. The eyrie that once seemed enormous is becoming crowded as two young eagles approach adult size. By late summer, they are nearly the size of their parents, but their plumage still tells their age. Before flight comes repetition, stretching, balancing, and learning how the wind presses against every feather. The movements grow stronger, but the nest still holds the feet firmly in place. Small hops turn the nest into a practice ground, testing balance before there is any real distance to cross. For the first time, the space beyond the ledge becomes something more than part of the view. A stronger gust tests the wings, but the young eagle steps back and waits. Eventually, the edge is approached again, and this time the wings remain open a little longer. Then the feet release, and for the first time, there is nothing beneath them but air.
The landing is untidy, but the rock holds, and the first journey beyond the nest is complete.
The younger sibling follows later, carrying the same uncertainty into its own first stretch of open air. Leaving the nest does not bring independence. The young eagles still remain close to the adults.
Flight becomes more efficient only with practice, as each correction teaches the wings what the wind can do.
For a while, meals still arrive from the adults, even after the young have learned to fly. Hunting is harder than flight. The first approaches often end with the prey still out of reach. By autumn, the cliff is no longer the center of everything, and the young eagle begins to range beyond it.